Welcome back to 15 Lanes Talk Game Week 29 preview show. We are going to talk about all the games that will be taking place in midweek, as Liverpool will be traveling to Wolverhampton, Arsenal will be traveling to Brighton, Aston Villa will be welcoming Chelsea at the Villa Park, and Manchester City will be welcoming Nottingham Forest at the Etihad Stadium. Manchester United will be traveling to the St. James's Park to face Newcastle. Let's go! Wolves versus Liverpool. Some of the biggest talking points going into this game. Are we going to see Wolverhampton, that is playing for nothing, put a dent in Liverpool's top four hopes? You understand, we all know that right now Liverpool are chasing top four. And the previous fixtures of Wolves, they faced Arsenal and Aston Villa. And we saw how they embarrassed Arsenal and Aston Villa, taking points away from them. Remember, Wolves are playing for nothing. Are they going to do the same to Liverpool, who are right now chasing top four, and they are just 3 points behind Manchester United and Aston Villa, who are in third and fourth? You understand? And remember, Liverpool has been dominating this fixture. But right now, Wolves that are playing for enjoyment, they may cause an upset going into this game. You understand? And Liverpool are also going into this game mainly to close the gap on Manchester United and Aston Villa. They can't make any mistake. No room for errors, no room for what. But as I've said, Wolves right now are playing for enjoyment and upsetting people. You understand? They don't have anything they are playing for. They are already relegated unless a miracle happens. You understand? And on the other hand, we saw Joe Gomez featured in the West Ham game, and he played at the right back position, which was a really, really good thing for Liverpool and a major boost. And also, Firpong also featured in that game as he came off the bench, which means Dominic Szoboszlai moved back in the midfield. But going into this game of Wolves, Florian Wirtz is still doubtful to feature in the Wolves game. You understand? Are we going to see Mohamed Salah also end his goal drought against Wolves? Because it will be 11 games since Mohamed Salah last scored a goal for Liverpool in the Premier League or in all competitions. So you just have to wait and see what's going to unfold in this game. Arsenal versus Brighton at the Amex Stadium. One of the biggest talking points going into this game. We know Arsenal are going to Brighton hoping to maintain their 5-point gap. You understand, this Brighton game is not an easy fixture. We all know Brighton is a giant killer. Brighton has made Arsenal suffer in their hands. Last season, they shared points in both games. This season, Arsenal beat Brighton at the Emirates. But is Arsenal going to do a double against Brighton? We all know this fixture has had a lot of drama in it. You understand? And Arsenal right now, since they're in the title race, they need every point. So you just have to wait and see. And are we going to see a tactical change from Mikel Arteta, since we saw Havertz back in the Arsenal squad as he came off the bench in that Chelsea game? Are you going to see him back in the starting lineup against Brighton between Eze and Victor Gyökeres, who is going to be dropped for Havertz to feature? Or on the other hand, we saw Declan Rice leaving the pitch against Chelsea, and Mikel Arteta came out in the press conference, said he felt a discomfort. So they will be assessing him. Are we going to see Declan Rice feature in the game against Brighton, or he's going to be out with an injury? If he's out with an injury, which means it's automatic, we shall see Havertz starting in the game against Brighton. Aston Villa versus Chelsea. Some of the biggest talking points going into this game. Both teams, Aston Villa and Chelsea, are hoping to bounce back to their winning ways, as both teams lost their derbies. You understand? Aston Villa lost to Wolves and Chelsea lost to Arsenal in the London derby. And both they are fighting for top four. So this is going to be a very, very interesting game for both teams, as they have something to lose. It's a high-stake game. You understand? On the other hand, both teams are battling for top four, as I've told you. And we saw Pedro Neto got a red card against Arsenal, which means another tactical change for Rafinha. So he has to play Garnacho outside there. You understand? And this game is going to be about Cole Palmer and Morgan Rogers. You understand? They have to show up for their team. As both teams, as I've said, they are still fighting for top four to see how they will get in Europe. You understand? Man City versus Nottingham Forest. Some of the biggest talking points going into this game. Manchester City still has to put more pressure on Arsenal or close the gap on Arsenal. You understand? Because every game counts. Every game is a high-stake game. And on the other hand, we saw Nottingham Forest drop points, understand, which means they also need this game to see that they survive the relegation battle and close the gap on Tottenham Hotspurs. You are not going to be an easy game for Manchester City since Nottingham Forest have something to fight for. But on the other hand, also Manchester City need to keep pressure on Arsenal Football Club. You understand? And in this game, you are going into this game hoping that Manchester City will be checking Haaland's fitness. You understand? He missed the game against Leeds due to minor injury. So we just have to wait. Is he going to feature in this game against Nottingham Forest, or Manchester City will announce that it was a serious injury? So which will mean he will end up missing the Nottingham Forest game. You understand? Right now, Nottingham Forest are in the relegation battle. Are they going to shock the world? Are they going to shock the world? Because this game is about relegation battle and title race. So anything can happen. Are we going to see Nottingham Forest shock Manchester City at the Etihad and influence the top four, the title race? We just have to wait and see. Newcastle versus Manchester United at the St. James's Park. Newcastle are hoping to bounce back to their winning ways as they suffered the defeat to Everton. You understand? And Manchester United, on the other hand, are hoping to cement their position in the top four. We know Michael Carrick, since he joined Manchester United, he hasn't lost a single game. He has only W's and only one draw against West Ham United. So, are we going to see Michael Carrick continue get another win, his third win in the row since the West Ham draw, or is Newcastle going to get back to their winning ways? You understand? Newcastle this season has struggled a lot due to squad depth. They are 13th in the league, so this season hasn't been good for Newcastle at all. You understand? And on the other hand, are we going to see Luke Shaw and Harry Maguire back in the Manchester United squad as they left with injuries against Crystal Palace? You understand? We just have to wait and see, and communication from Michael Carrick about that. Sesko and Diallo. We saw Sesko started the game against Crystal Palace and Diallo was dropped. So is there going to be another tactical change, or is Michael Carrick still going to go with Sesko, his main striker, going into this game against Newcastle? You understand? And we all know how physical Newcastle defenders are. So maybe Michael Carrick will need Sesko in that attack.